I found that a lot of these women were limited in their choices because they didn't have money, because they were financially unstable. So they would settle for whatever the husband would give them. They couldn't go to court. They couldn't afford a lawyer, or at least long term. If you want to fight it out, it's got to be long term, right? They didn't understand how to tabulate things like child maintenance. So the judge would tell them $300 or 500 ringgit for a child. It's just not enough.
Yeah.
Do you know that there is a digital way to record assets, specially designed by women for women? And how much do we know when it comes to investing? I, for one, am quite risk averse, and I know many are too. In the studio today, we have Mohd Sheriff, co-founder of Wahine Capital, who will give us some comfort that there is a tool out there which women can utilize to plan and manage their finances.
Mohd Sheriff has a legal background, having previously worked in the General Counsel's Office of Securities Commission Malaysia, provided legal advice, and was an advocate with Sisters in Islam, board member of Sisters in Islam, and co-founded Wahine Capital in March 2021. Sherry, can you let us know about how Wahine Capital helps women in their finances?
Well, firstly, thank you. Thank you for having me here today. Very exciting to be involved with a women-led podcast. Wahine Capital, we were born during the pandemic period. Actually, between my partner and me, what we used to do was, we couldn't go out really. So in the evenings, we would go for walks. And at that particular point in time, her sister was very ill. And eventually passed away. And she had to manage her sister's estate. And she found a lot of issues. Either she didn't know what her sister had in terms of assets, or she didn't know the processes involved, things like that. So she started talking about, what can we do to help in this situation? And me, because I'm a women's rights advocate, so I came into the picture and said, look, we especially need to focus on women, because when it comes to estate planning or for general financial matters, women are usually, in the background, right? Or backward, a bit more backward compared to men. And I had been through a divorce. And I had financial issues during my divorce, and I had to work myself up to become stable again, both mentally as well as physically as well as financially. So I said, look, why don't we look at it in a broader sense and look at how we can help women at different stages of their life, and what women are going through. It's not just about death, but it's also about things like this, like when you get married, when you have a child, if you get divorced, if you become a widow, all these different life events that happen to women. So that's when we decided, let's try this. So what we initially created, our first product is called W Vault. So it's basically a digital online financial organizer. So basically we have a category of assets, different types of assets, from your houses to your bank account to your investments, to your car. And then we have your liabilities, your loans, your credit cards, and so on and so forth. And when you fill all these categories up, you get a dashboard at the end of it, because our view is that unless you know where you are right now financially, how do you move forward? How do you plan ahead without understanding where you actually are at this point in time? And from there, we've connected with financial planners, with insurance providers, so on and so forth, so that women can actually explore different types of financial products that are out there. And then in line with that, we've also onboarded experts, because we also feel that women experts, are not promoted, are not projected out there in the financial world as prominently, as effectively. So we thought, okay, let's get them together, and we've created all these different categories where the experts can speak, because also the other perspective that we come from is that for women, money is not like the dollars and cents. For women, money is about living well. It's about having what I want. It's about giving to my community, my children, my family, people around me, or giving to what's important to me, whether it's the elderly, or whether it's the orphans or whatever. So women get involved with a lot of philanthropy as well. So that was our perspective in terms of what money means for women. And now we're getting into a financial wellness program. So from our own experience, from the research out there, women also have very specific, unique type of vulnerabilities. We earn less. We live longer. You have the pink tax, which means that your grooming products are more expensive. Your healthcare is more expensive. You start needing healthcare when you're in your 20s, compared to many men who don't need it until much later in life. So all these things are vulnerabilities. On top of that, you have divorce, where women have issues with child maintenance. So things like that, which women don't know how to think about financially. You think about it maybe in terms of how you want to, maybe emotionally, but a very important aspect is financially. And if you're financially stable, everyone around you becomes stable as well in terms of how they live their lives. So that was where we came from, and how we want to approach this issue. So basically, it's financial empowerment for women. We want to provide tools. We want to provide knowledge. We want to see them more active in the economy. We believe that if they are, a powerful consumer in the economy, then they can also demand what they want. So even the car industry changed, because women started saying, no, I don't want that car, I want this car instead, because it makes sense for my children or my groceries or whatever. You've seen the health insurance space change. Now we're seeing a lot of conversations online about menopause, right? Because women our age are demanding for the right kind of intervention, because we don't want to live and suffer. We want solutions, right?
So you mentioned in your website that women are the biggest savers, but not the best investors.
Yes.
So is that where you're coming from? You're helping, especially women in their 20s, to chart their financial life, for some financial planning for them.
Yeah. And a very interesting sort of revelation that we got, we initially, of course, targeted for women 40 years and above, thinking that because they're closer to retirement, retirement, you don't have an income anymore, so you better look at how you want to manage your retirement. So we thought we'd target that age group. But what we have found is that people that have come to us mostly were much younger. So we're looking at women 25 and above, just started their career, and they are very interested all the way to retirement planning. I mean, they're thinking about retirement planning at the age of 25. It's fantastic, really. I think it's just, how I suppose they understand financial risk to them. Yeah. But it's true what you say. Women really manage the household. Most women, I think majority of women manage the house. You buy the groceries, you provide for your children, you make that budget work. you make, the best decisions there. But then when it comes to long-term financial planning, you become suddenly scared, right? You lose all confidence. You think, I'm not good at it. This is not my area. I might make huge losses and whatever. But it's the same sort of skills. Once you know what you're doing, once you have the right kind of knowledge, it's the same kind of skills.
So is that what you do? You or women go to you and you say, okay, let's see what are your finances, your income, your liabilities, what you're committed to paying every month. You open up a spreadsheet for them, and okay, this is how we should do it. Give them advice. Or do you go down to that?
So at this point in time, it's more of an awareness program. Obviously we help friends when they come, and other people who we have our experts. The next phase of Wahine Capital is we will need a license to give that kind of advice, investment advice. So that should be in the next phase of Wahine Capital. So we don't get to the specifics of what investments, or we don't get into the specifics of financial planning. What we are doing right now is providing tools. So we have templates on how you budget. We tell you, what is your income, what is your debt, your outgoing, right? How do you manage what you should be putting aside? What kind of buckets of savings that you need. So right now it's quite broad-based. We rely a lot on our experts for the face-to-face advice. So people do come to us for face-to-face, looking at a broad-based financial plan. But between Regina and myself, we're looking to go into that this year. So hopefully we can get more, how do you say it? So we were chatting just now before, Malaysians just want the answer. I'm like, just tell me what to do.
Yeah.
So hopefully by this year we can actually get into that space, tell you what to do.
Yeah. So in a way, it's like you're giving it, financial advice, or giving ways to improve financial knowledge, right?
Yes.
Yeah, which is according to a template.
And knowledge is key. I think knowledge is confidence. And I think that's the basic reason why women are not getting into investments. They don't have the knowledge. And I think one thing that it's not just maybe people who don't earn enough or people who are not educated. It's bankers. We've come across bankers themselves who work in a bank who are under investing or keeping it all in FDs, because excuses given I don't know which one to invest in, or my husband does all the investments, or my father does all the investments for me, or the best one is I don't have time, which is true. A lot of women have to juggle many responsibilities, but also we look at this as a form of self-care. You've got to make the time because this is your life, right? Yeah.
What are the basic investment that you could advise for beginners?
So if you're a beginner and you haven't put it in the, anywhere at all, you only have, say, a savings account, you can voluntarily contribute to EPF. That's about, I think, now averaging about 5.8, I think it was. And then ASB is also giving returns about 8%. So that's better than, a savings account, a good savings account is only about 3% in terms of what returns you get. So that's already,
Above.
Way above. Yeah. And that matters. So if you think about how money makes money, you're compounding your wealth over years. If you're thinking about a 20-year horizon, that's a lot of money. If you're wanting to go beyond, you could look at unit trusts. Unit trusts are a bit easier because they are managed by professionals. You have to choose your unit trust properly lah. So unit trust goes with banks, or you can go to your bank and do it. I am very new to this online space of investing in unit trusts, maybe about a year or so. So I actually use an online platform. It's a bit intimidating at first because they have hundreds of funds there. But what you can do is just open the app every day. Open it, have a look. After about a month, you will get the understanding of how it works and what interests you, and what kind of trends are in the market, and maybe put a few thousand if you have that spare money. See how it goes, then put a bit more, right? So they have the name of the unit trust, and then they have the risk rating attached to it. So you can look at that. So the information is quite, and then they have like a history of how it's performed over the last 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, whatever you want to look at.
Track record, right?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean a future performance. That one we must remind people. I mean, past performance is not equal to future performance. That's one thing. Number two, what I've started, because so my transition now at this point in my life is I want passive income. So I want income from my investments. I've started a startup. Startups don't pay well. So my income has dropped. So I'm looking for ways to make passive income. I don't want to give up my current endeavor. I don't want to give up my current lifestyle, but I want an income which makes me feel a bit more secure for my future. So I'm looking for that. So I'm looking for things that give me dividends or something. So I have quite a lot in sort of low risk, and then I take a bit and put in high risk, and and the minute it goes up, so I'll tell myself, okay, so this is a market. Obviously you have to do some reading beforehand. You have to know the basics of what you're going into. So like I went into crypto a few years ago. So when I first went into it, I tried to understand what this Bitcoin is. And I don't understand the product. I will be very honest. I don't understand the product, but I more or less have a understanding of the performance of the product, the market trends in the product, because I'm keeping up with the news on Bitcoin, on Ethereum and whatnot, because I'm invested in it. So you have to have that level of responsibility to get to know at least the market trends.
And how see about all these apps? You mentioned investing through apps. Because for me personally, I find comfort in walking into a bank. I'm so
Me too.
Even if I buy a unit trust, it has to go through a bank. I just can't put my money into.
So the one that I'm on is called FSM1. That one is regulated. It's a regulated app. So they have a license from Securities Commission, and I'm not sure if they have one from Bank Negara, but they can take deposits and as well. So they're regulated. So I look up for things like that for security wise. Talk to friends who are in the financial market. Talk to many people. Don't talk to one person.
You need to do your research.
You need to understand.
Understand.
So I think it also it's up to you what your comfort level is. If you're face to face, it's more expensive. You're paying fees, right? If you're, I think for unit trust in FSM1, it's in the single digit, under 5% you're paying, even under that, I think, So the fees are very much less. I think more than half less than face to face. So that is a consideration. I have both. I have a broker, I have a unit trust agent, and I go online. Because like if you're talking to me about stocks, That one I takut to buy on my own yet. I haven't tried, but I haven't yet because that one of single stocks like your KLCI stocks. That one I'm not really reading on company news and whether they're getting a contract here or whatever. I'm not into that like on a regular basis. So that's why the confidence is not there, but I mean that's a space that I need to build for myself as well. Yeah.
This is where Wahine Capital comes in because they can give advice.
Yeah.
How much you can put into FSM.
Yeah.
How much you can put into unit trust.
Yeah.
But the thing is, once you put into unit trust, you're locked in. You can't really move
unit
it
trust is quite liquid. I mean, I think it's T plus 1, T plus 2. Yeah. I mean,
all right.
It's liquid. There are lock-in ones. So I know some structured products will have lock-in periods of 2 years, or the ones that you have lock-in.
For some reason, that I got into the locked-in ones.
Yeah,
I found that I was not very.
It shouldn't be. Unit trusts are traded, daily. You can buy and sell on a daily basis.
Because I went through a broker though.
You went through a broker. Just check the product. Yeah. What I did when I was younger. So when you start work, gaji not that great. What I did was I think I put about 500 ringgit every month. So I did a monthly contribution to particular unit trusts. That's what I did when I was younger because I didn't have that much disposable income. Yeah. But I must say, I mean, what I did at 20 did not. That one was really like, don't know what I was doing, just pump in the money. And we couldn't, I was in the Securities Commission. You can't invest in stocks. So unit trust was the only choice that I had. Yeah. So that's how I started. But, from that amount, you move on to something else, you move on to something else, you move on to something else. So since I stopped Securities Commission, that's when I started dabbling in a lot of other things. Yeah. Yeah. And what you want out of investments changes over the years. So initially I thought, okay, put this much, in, at that time, China was doing so well. So put this much in China, let's do even though the risk is higher, let's just get the money and everything. Now I wouldn't, because now I'm a bit more conservative because I don't want to lose whatever money I have because I'm looking at retirement and, cost of aging and things like that. So your priorities completely change over your years. Yeah. So
sometimes you don't know what's going to happen because when you mentioned China, there was once when all the unit trusts on the China, the China funds, they were doing very well. But and the moment everybody went in, it just went down, just dropped, and it stayed there for a few years.
Yeah.
So
these are the risks. Yeah. And I think, if you start listening to all these market analysts and all, I think 2025, I mean, Trump years, also they're looking at a bit more volatility in the market because they just don't know what he's going to do, how the US economy will be. So when you invest in the market, you take a risk.
Yeah.
I think that one you have to realize. So what we say is look at APF, look at ASB, save unit. I mean, save investments, decent returns, and then keep 6 months emergency funds. Invest, start from low risk, right? If you're investing, if you want to go into high risk, understand that you can lose it. If you're willing
for that
to lose it, if you put 50,000, you say, okay, never mind. If I get 50%, it's great. But if I lose, I'm okay, right? So that's the mindset you have to go in terms of looking at more higher risk investment. Right. Or just if you keep track of it. The other thing that people do with investments is they have knee-jerk reactions, right? So suddenly, like Bursa fell in December, I know a lot of people sold out. But if you're able to just stay the course, I mean, evidence, all the data shows that the stock market grows. And maybe not year on year, but in the long term. So you're looking at a 5-year, 10-year horizon. You should make money. It's very difficult not to make money if you're looking at a long-term horizon. So that's what we advocate. If you're gonna go in and go out, you just make sure you can withstand the loss. Yeah.
When you advise someone who is just out in the job market, just starting out, first job, second job, and you're advising them on their finances, on the planning of their finances, when it comes to buying properties, the popular advice now is not to buy any properties, but to rent. Does it? Well, that's according to a financial guru in the States. I don't know. What about Malaysia? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that so when we were young, or at least when I was young, the first thing you buy is a house, right? Before you put money in the market or whatever. And that has worked out very well for me. So at this point in time, I told you I was downsizing. I can get an income from that. I can either sell or rent it out. I can get an income for that. So that's another sort of passive source of income. But I think for the young people today, sometimes renting is not a choice. It's just the property market is so expensive, especially in the Klang Valley. They don't have a choice. So they have to rent because they can't afford the deposit, or small properties go in the millions in Klang Valley. That's number one. So buying allows you to have a significant asset, but it also cuts down your disposable income because you're paying the loan. And you're paying the loan 20 to 30 years. So huge commitment, right? Yeah. Renting allows you to have more disposable income. You can take that money, put it in an investment where you also make money. So really, I think for me, if you buy, there are risks. You got to choose well when you buy. But personally, it's worked very well for me. But if I think if you renting also can have certain benefits in the sense that
There's pro and
you go into different kind of investments.
But times are different because previously during our time we could still buy properties in central KL, in
Nice locations, right?
Tamantun. But now, young people out there, they're forced to buy further out. Cyberjaya.
Correct.
And there seems to be like a glut of properties coming up, a lot of housing developments coming up. And I was told that those who, they buy in some places outside KL, maybe 40 kilometers out. They have there's a drop in property prices because of all these housing developments that keeps on coming up, and there's too much out there.
So I have a friend who invests in apartments, but she's very clever lah. The minute because apartments also depend on sort of the flavor of the day, right? So this area is the flavor of the day. So she also understands when time to sell out and buy, but she reinvests the money in the next apartment, so in that sense, you have to be quite smart about buying. When I bought, we were looking at 100% returns. I would buy a property, small little link house, and it would, of course, in 10, 15 years, but it doubled in the price, basically. That's the amount of money that you could make in those days, right? But today, it's not possible. I think you're looking at much, much smaller returns. So I think that's, again, why people are thinking it's just not worth it. It's just might as well rent, right? Because at the end of the day, you take the loan also, the interest rates.
For them, it doesn't make sense
interest
anymore.
anyway.
So you were in Sisters in Islam we are still in Sisters in Islam. You're a director. Many, many years. How would you advise those ladies who actually seek help from Sisters in Islam when it comes to managing their properties?
So I did not advise on things like that. So in Sisters in Islam, while I was working there, I led it's a hotline. It's called Telenisa. It's a helpline for dealing with family matters, and we advise them legally. We give the first level advice before they have to get to a lawyer. So we dealt with a lot of divorce or child custody, child maintenance, those kind of issues. Even domestic violence, those kind of issues. But what I came out of it and why I was particularly interested in Wahine, in forming Wahine, was because I found that a lot of these women were limited in their choices because they didn't have money, because they were financially unstable. So they would settle for whatever the husband would give them. They couldn't go to court. They couldn't afford a lawyer, or at least long term. If you want to fight it out, it's got to be long term, right? They didn't understand how to tabulate things like child maintenance. So the judge would tell them $300 or 500 ringgit for a child. It's just not enough, so they didn't understand that the cost goes from rental to electricity to transport to clothes. So all these things that you need to understand goes into this child. You might not remember it, but organizing is one thing, right? Or they might not have the bill. They didn't understand that even if they didn't pay for the house loan, that they can actually claim for marital property, matrimonial property. So part of it was knowing what their rights were, but the other part was also being financially literate, to understand what your financial rights are in this sort of situation, and using those rights, right? So if you go into a room and negotiate from that level, like, no, what are you talking about, 300 ringgit? Look at what I spend. This is the breakdown of what I spend on your child. Then your position is stronger in terms of your negotiation power. So those were the things that I thought women needs to be taught how to value yourself financially as well. You can't just think that, oh, tak apalah, I'll deal with whatever comes my way, right? So long as I get out of it, which is fine. I mean, some situations you just want to get out as fast as possible, but in other situations it causes more of a long-term issue if you're not dealing with it at that point in time. And when I joined, when we started so we had a conference on divorce and how it impacts you financially, and people found it a bit weird because when you talk about divorce, you cannot talk about money. It's very sensitive, right? It's very sort of distasteful. But we were like, this is the reality. That's when women lose about 40% of their wealth when they divorce. Men lose about 20%. So that is the reality of how divorce impacts you. So we had that conference. But the very interesting thing coming out of the financial planners are informing us that when women are going through different stages in life, including divorce, they are actually becoming a bit more practical about it and understanding there are impacts financially, and they're going into financial planning. They work 3 years in advance. For example, if they know that this marriage is not going to work, they work 3 years in advance to make sure their position is secure, and then they go through the process of the legal, the divorce side of it, because they feel, okay, at least if I come out of it at this particular point in time, I can manage my life better, I can manage my children better. So it's quite interesting how things are developing. I mean, it's a reality, right? And I think the statistics are about 48% or whatever. Yeah. One in 1,000 get divorced. 1 in 1,000, I think. So it's quite high. Yeah. It's a big number. Yeah. I mean, the good or bad of it, that's not what I want to get into. But I feel that if this is going to happen to your life, at least make sure that one part of it is taken care of.
How is it that women lose 40% of their income
Yeah, because
when it comes to divorce?
Yeah,
and men
because-
only 20.
because a lot of the time the women don't. This is like household wealth, right? So a lot of the time women don't work. They have to go back to work. Their income will be low. Insufficient, or they don't have enough savings because they relied on their husband, or these kind of issues come to play, or they pay a larger amount for their children. Usually custody is with the mother. So if you only claim for 500 ringgit, you're paying the rest.
Yeah.
Which is much more than that, right? Especially KL prices. So so these kind of women usually take care of their parents even. So your outgoing could be much higher, and you only have yourself in terms of the breadwinner. Yeah, so your disposable income is much less because you have to take on the responsibility all yourself.
Because having been in Sisters in Islam, you have a bird's eye view of what are the possible finances that come into play.
Yeah.
So you're able to advise, well, especially younger women, on how to plan in the advent of something like that happening.
Yeah.
Then they will be more prepared.
Yeah. So women are also talking about, we also talk about things like how to plan your wedding. Weddings now are getting really huge and really expensive, and different points in life. Children, I think, is also another area where we talk about how to plan for children, not just now, not just giving birth, but in the long term. And retirement and aging is the other area that we look at very, very, very closely.
Actually, this is the first time I'm meeting someone from Sisters in Islam. So I'm always very curious about their mission. But since you're here, could you tell us a bit about the mission in Sisters in Islam?
Well, Sisters in Islam works within the framework of the Islamic framework. So laws regarding family, things like inheritance, marriage, birth, divorce, death, all are managed separately. So it works within the Sharia laws compared to non-Muslims, where it works under different laws. So within those laws, there are certain aspects of the law that create difficulties in terms of how women want to get a divorce, for example, in terms of how women don't get sufficient child maintenance, or even if they get a court order on child maintenance, they don't get it doesn't get paid. The husband just ignores the court order. Then what can the woman do? Or things like polygamy, which a lot of women also find a lot of, it's stressful, but the law is supposed to provide equally for all the wives, but it doesn't happen. So all these issues and certain stereotypes that the husband is in charge, domestic violence is connected to that stereotype. So all these issues are areas where Sisters in Islam advocates. What I believe in also in terms of how the laws are not necessarily interpreted in the way that the Quran, for example, states. I mean, it's quite complex in terms of how religion translates to law, and that's the space that we deal with. Yeah,
It must be mentally draining. Because every day you have to listen to a lot of problems, and some of them, I'm sure, well, a lot of them can be
difficult for me. I think for the first year, it was emotionally draining because I was not in the women's rights space, and I didn't understand, what. So women, I think, who are professionals, who have a good income and all, they have very different life from the underprivileged, right? So it was quite draining for a while to realize that there's so many problems out there, and sometimes you feel helpless, right? What is it that I can do to help? But you do your best.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. So that was, but it was such an eye opener for me, a real eye opener in terms of how this country is progressing.
Yeah.
But gender equality has not been an area where we as a country has put significant focus on. But fortunately for us, we have a very well educated community of women, right? And we have successful women. So we have that at least to bring women forward. But we look at the laws and the policies and all, it's not very, how do you say, aggressively targeted to achieve gender equality.
Yeah. And hence, Wahine Capital is something that you can do to help women with their finances.
Wahine Capital, so we are advocates for equality, although we don't term it as such. But we believe that if you are financially viable, as a consumer, as a contributor to productivity and all, then you have more power in terms of how you decide on your life, what choices you make, where to live, what to eat, how many children you have, who you want your partner to be, right? All these are choices that, so money gives you some level of freedom, gives you autonomy in terms of your decisions, the range of decisions that you can make opens up when you have financial security.
Which brings me to an interesting point that I found in your website, in the website of Wahine Capital. You have like 3 different pillars. One is relationship and me. You're one of that advice, money and me, and career and me.
Yeah.
So can someone just call up and ask about, I'm at this crossroad. Should I go into this marriage? Do you give that sort of advice?
I think that's what we intended. That we have very clearly made this relationship that money and life for women is completely fused. So a change in job is also about money. If I'm sick, it's also about money. I mean, if I'm if I have a mental health issue, it could be about financial stress as well. So it is something that we want to sort of intermingle. We don't want to just to say, do like this so that you can save 300 ringgit a month so that you can go to this investment. We don't want that to be, we want to say, what do you want out of life today? What do you want out of life in 20 years? Okay, let's list it down. Let's understand for you what is in your mind in terms of what you want. And then we go through a reality check. Can this happen? Can this not happen? If you want this to happen, I think you have to change your job. You have to earn more. You have to start making more money. You have to start investing more. So we go through things like that in terms of, I think, creating a sort of clarity in mind, or in some cases a mind shift even in terms of what money means, what money can give you.
Yeah, I think it's really important to have a group of ladies who have gone through life to advise the younger ones on what's in store. Especially now, I find that a lot of young people, they really don't want to go to university because it's much easier to make money through TikTok, for example, through becoming an affiliate. And I think that that's going down a dangerous path because it's not something that something's solid that you can hang on for in the long term.
So my son grew up with, who's that one in Young Famous too, Mr. Beast or something like that, and he's making billions on YouTube and TikTok. So I guess that's what influences them, right? That they see. But I mean, there's probably 100 of them out there, and the rest are all failures. So I think they don't see that picture. They only see the billionaires that come out of TikTok and YouTube, right? True. Yeah.
Then would you advise that it is still safer to go to university, get a degree, and still have a few years of working experience at least?
Yeah.
Before you go on to do all this TikTok, Mr.
I think it's a fallback. I think you need an insurance in terms of if things don't work out. You have a way of sustaining your life. Yeah, I think education is very important.
Pick up a skill also.
Yeah, or a skill. Yeah, so education can be in different ways, right? Yeah. And also the other thing is now I feel the way I'm looking at it, it's very specialized now. So you can have a very specialized knowledge and it can be valuable. So like, I mean, like if I'm looking at the area of, I'm just thinking of all the podcasts that I listen to on menopause, different specializations on menopause and exercise. It's just specialized, specific sort of topic. But they can go on for years talking about it. And, they are recognized as experts and it's valuable. So it's quite interesting how things are changing.
Like when we were in university, for me at least, I never thought that a nutritionist can make so much of money. But now, there's just so many nutritionists.
That's a space that I'm getting to know. Now with all the problems.
So it's good to be able to advise women on careers as well, all the different careers. Like before, all we wanted to do, women. For some women, we want to be either a doctor, a lawyer, or there's the 5 professions. But now there's just so many things that you can do.
Yeah, so many things you can do. But that there are still. We also bring up that there are still barriers for some reason. For example, in STEM, women are less represented in STEM. So if you look at managerial positions, women are about 40% managerial. But when you look at CEO level, then you're looking at 20%. So there are still barriers in terms of, or it could be that women are making different choices. Obviously, you sometimes you stop work because you want to care for the children,
to focus on your family.
So I mean, the value socially is very high for women to care, for the mother to care for the children. Socially, we put a lot of value in it. But monetarily, there's no value in it, right? So that's the mismatch, I think, in our lives.
I think it comes to choice because yesterday, whilst I was having dinner, then my husband just bought some cookies. He said, "Oh, try these cookies. They're really delicious. It's made by someone who was formerly an engineer."
Yeah,
I was like, she was an engineer. Why is she selling cookies? Anybody can sell cookies, but she was an engineer. Yeah, and then he said, even the father told me, I send you to university to do engineering and you come back and sell cookies. Nothing wrong with selling cookies, but it's just that I felt that she was a bit too young to be making the choice to not carry on with her professional qualification and to go into it a bit too early, I feel. I suppose I don't know.
I mean, I've spoken to these young entrepreneurs with 3 to 5 years in the industry. If you look at these kind of companies like I think Kido Care is doing really well, Pure Lipi, and they're all like that. I think the risk taking in these younger generation is much higher. They don't have that mental block to go out there and try something. But obviously they take the risk of failing lah.
And some of them are doing very well. Really envy them.
And they're very impressive.
Very, very much.
And 28, 29, they're very impressive. They know their market really well. They know about fundraising. They know about marketing. They're like jack of all trades, even at such a young age.
Knowledgeable.
But it's not easy though.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. There's for every one or two success stories.
Correct.
There's just so many out there who are trying very hard.
Correct.
Yeah. But I would personally still advocate to go through that X number of years.
Yeah.
Working for someone first.
I think that's why, I mean, a lot of people come to Wahine, although we provide something different than what's out there. I mean, when we go into all these, you know, the startup space, we are usually the oldest. Yeah, but that age gives us that kind of respect, and you know, that feeling that we've gone through life, that we can talk about our own experiences in how we've dealt with different events in our life also. And I think that's what people like about Wahine Capital, is because we're two women who've been through a lot, gathered the knowledge, and we're here to give back, right?
Yeah. Is there any personal story from your experience with Wahine, how you help other women, you know, come out from their difficulties, or when they ask you for the advice, and then suddenly now they are really doing well? Is there any personal experience?
Well, we are not. We're only like 2 years old. So, but we had a lady come to us, a fairly successful business woman, but too heavily reliant on debt, a credit card and loans and whatever, that she did not have any savings. But she at least, you know, like realized that this was not something that could continue, that was healthy for her to continue. So we realigned her, you know, income to debt sort of spending, allowed for some free money to go into into savings, into emergency funds, into education fund and whatnot. But in doing that, it's not just about understanding, you know, what you should do, but it's also a mind shift. A lot of it was also due to the fact that she didn't understand the cost of debt. You know, I mean, credit card, if you don't pay,
Certain interest.
it's going up to about 18%, all right?
Yeah.
18%. So no investment. Very few investments can beat that. So, you know, so we saying, what are you doing? Pay off your credit card. First opportunity. This is just costing you so much, you know, and it's eating into your disposable income. So things like that, we need to like sort of open their eyes, right? But at the same time, it's a mind shift in terms of how I spend my money, shopping habits, buying habits, all this FOMO thing, you know, you don't want to lose out. It's also a mind shift in terms of, can you reset your priorities, because this is just not working for you. You're just spending too much, you know, and
Buy only what
causing a lot of harm, for your future. Yeah.
I think that mind shift is also applies to older people like me. Because like this year, I told myself I'm not going to buy any more clothes. Because after I saw that Netflix documentary on the
Fast fashion.
fashion, I told myself, okay, no more. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Me personally, I think I need to allocate a bit for silly decisions. Things that I don't. You know, I just need to, because I know I can't keep to it. Right. So I need that one pair of shoes from time to time, or that you know, silly whatever painting. I'm actually moving house, and the amount of nonsense that finding around the house, things that I never needed and never used and still in the box, but I don't know why I bought it. Right. So I think everybody goes through that. It is for me, like, I think I've improved from my days. I think I've definitely improved. My daughter is very, very quite disciplined. If she doesn't need it, she won't buy it, that kind of person. So she's telling me, Mommy, you have this process where you go into a shop and then you look at it, but you don't buy it. You have a 3-step authentication with you approve your credit card, or you just walk out, and then if you really can't, you give yourself a week. If you really can't stop thinking about it, then
go and get it.
yeah.
I kind of like having that thought now, I will look at it and I say, I like that. I need to have that. I need to have it. But then I say, okay, never mind. Let me think about it for about 24 hours, 48 hours. So if I still think about it, I go and buy. Otherwise, I just say, okay.
Actually, more often than not, you forget about it. Yeah, exactly. And it makes no difference to your life.
I'm improving actually.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I was like, I can say that I'm impulsive buyer. When I like something, I just buy because I told myself, I will never know. Maybe one day I need this item. So at least I get it now so that when I need it, I already have it in place, So that kind of mentality that
I'm lucky because I'm not impulsive when it comes to high value goods. So things that are expensive, I'm not so that one I'm lucky. But if it's a few hundred ringgit, then that's dangerous, and it accumulates, and I don't see it accumulating. So that's the problem that I have. Yeah. But it's a whole process, right? So being in Wahine also, you're learning a lot. You're hearing from people, and
you learn yourself, right? From others.
You learn yourself. But we're human, right? So we need to forgive ourselves for this
And
kind of
also women.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things.
I think having that dashboard will put everything into perspective.
Yes.
Because right now we have dashboards, but with the banks, but that's just with that particular bank. Whereas with Wahine, you have a complete dashboard.
Correct. Yeah, and across the board. Then you can, if you see your net worth going down, then time to do something about it.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Sherry, for joining us today and telling us about
fun time. Great pleasure for me to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
We're so happy that we learned something about planning and having an overview of your assets and liabilities, and to really plan for the future. That's really important. Something not very interesting to look at because you really don't want to look at these things. There's other things to look at, which is more fun. But this is like key. You have to. It's something that you just have to get down to and just do it.
Yeah.
And be responsible and plan your life accordingly.
Yeah.
So thank you, Sherry.
Thank you very much. Thank you.